Bingo! Here, girl!
G'day you cheeky dogs. Today we're going to be talking about the Bluey episode The Dump, and I thought that this was going to be a super easy, simple episode, a quick breakdown, you know, a little bit of themes of reincarnation with the recycling. Like, I totally expected that. But I was so wrong.
This episode of Bluey is called The Dump.
Because after doing a little bit of a deep dive into this episode, it turns out that no, this episode is maybe, I think, the most religious episode in the entire catalogue of Bluey. So let's talk about the fact that Bandit is God in this and how that relates to this whole episode and questioning religion, as well as the Easter eggs and hidden details that maybe you might have missed. And this was confirmed by the lead animator as well on Twitter. She made a whole comment about the fact that this episode was about a lot of spirituality, so it's not surprising that this is what a lot of people took from it. And of course, as always, if you love Bluey as much as we do here, don't forget to hit that like button down below, as well as that subscribe button and that bell for notifications, so you know whenever I release any other Bluey videos. G'day cheeky dogs, my name's Margie and I'm an Australian currently living in America. With that being said, let's jump into the big heavy theme of this and the idea of faith and questioning religion. So as I mentioned in this episode, the idea is that Bandit is God, the car is the universe, and Bingo and Bluey represent people. And I'll explain all of those in detail, I promise. So starting off with Bingo and Bluey. So they are the people and they show kind of like different ways that people have viewed religion over the years. So Bluey, of course, is questioning Bandit, and sort of both her and Bingo give him attributes like a god from a religion. However, Bingo also does show other types of religions in the past, like think for example Greek and Roman mythology, where they use the idea of like these big events that were because of like a god's anger. So for example, they explained thunderstorms when a god was angry, or a volcano erupting when a god was furious with the city. So in this case, Bingo, of course, is using the traffic lights and the little gnomes, explaining that like the gnomes are the ones that change the color, and explaining that phenomenon in her head, because she of course doesn't quite understand how traffic lights actually work.
So, did you know, Bluey, yellow car, the little chubby gnomes climb up the traffic light and paint them red and green? Oh.
So I do love that we see sort of that idea of like little mini gods in this, as well as the idea of like one and only god with Bandit. So let's get into that. The idea, of course, that the car is the universe is because this is the first time that we see stickers in the car that represent space. So we see little space stickers everywhere. So it's meant to give us that idea then that this is sort of like the universe, and Bandit is God, who is of course driving the universe or moving it around.
What are we gonna dump at the dump, Dad?
Just some old stuff.
And I want to give just a little special shout out here at the moment to a special Reddit user who actually did like a 1,000-word essay on this, and was the person who like really made me start to think a little bit deeper about this episode and how to view it. I'm gonna leave a link for their whole like essay as well in the description box down below if you'd like to go and read it. It is fantastic, and it definitely helped me see this more in depth.
You'll have to figure that out for yourself.
How do I do that?
I'm sure you'll work it out.
So let's start off with Bandit as the all-knowing god, or omniscience. So the idea that God is all-knowing, all-powerful, and supremely good is this idea of omniscience, omnipotence, and omnibenevolence. There's also omnipresence, where like he's around at all times no matter what, but that's kind of vaguely mentioned here, but not as much as the other three. So let's start off with Bandit as the all-knowing god.
Dad, do you know everything?
Yep.
So Bluey, of course, starts the very episode with this specific question, asking him, does he know everything? And then asking him to prove it as well.
Prove it.
Okay. Bingo's about to run in and ask me where we're going.
Where are we going?
To the dump!
Yeah, dump! Whoa.
Now, of course, she is wowed by this. Like, she thinks this is amazing. But pretty quickly, she starts to question this and question him, thinking that he's all-knowing, because he says that brown is part of the rainbow.
Brown car!
Brown's not in the rainbow.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you said you knew everything.
I do.
She then, of course, continues with her questions, and a very theological question of like, where was I before I was born? And like that can go into anything from like anatomically, where was she, to theologically as well, like where was her spirit, her soul, and things like that. Of course, Bandit doesn't have the answer to it, so he like brushes it off.
Ask me a question.
Okay. Where was I before I was born?
Yeesh. Ask me another one.
We then get into this idea of then Bluey questioning whether or not she can drive the car. Can she control the universe the same way that God can control the universe?
Can I drive the car?
Oh, that's easy. No.
Why?
You can't reach the pedals.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, they get into a whole back and forth about this, because of course Bluey can't, logically, because she's too little. But it is interesting, like the critical thinking that she does, and this comes back a little bit later on.
Butlers? Where are you going to get 10 butlers from?
The Queen. We'd steal hers.
probably do it.
Hooray!
We then see, of course, that Bluey and Bingo both want him to turn on like the sweaty thing. Like they want to do it themselves because it's something that they enjoy, but there's no like actual logical reason for them to do it, as Bandit points out.
What do you want to drive the car for?
Because we like doing the sweaty thing. Can you push it?
But the windscreen's not dirty.
But they do pray for it with their please face and their hands together and everything like that. So of course, Bandit answers their prayers and puts it on, but only once.
Please! Bingo, double please face.
Oh, all right.
And then this is where we get into Bandit as the all-powerful god.
Could we have a hairy monster attack on the way?
Maybe.
So of course, he is the one that can control the windscreen wipers and decides yes or no if they're going to be on.
Yeah! Again!
No, it's a waste of water.
Bluey then of course questions him as to whether or not he is a good driver and the best driver in the whole world. So this is him being all-powerful, saying that yes, he is the best driver in the whole world. He is the best one to control the whole universe.
Hey!
Why'd you beep your horn?
Oh, that guy in the orange car isn't a very good driver.
Are you a good driver?
Yep.
Are you the best driver in the world?
Yeah, probably.
Ooh, wow.
We then get onto the third section of God, which is supremely good. And this is the section where they're talking about the superheroes, and Bluey basically asks, you know, like, are they goodies or baddies?
It's an ad for a movie about superheroes.
Ooh, is that one a goodie or a baddie?
A goodie.
And then she asks Bandit to pass judgment on herself as to whether she is a goodie or a baddie as well.
Are you a goodie?
Definitely.
What about me?
Well, it depends if you do good or bad things.
I set the table when I do the dishes. Are they good things?
Those are very good things.
Now Bandit of course answers that he is of course supremely good, like he's definitely a goodie, and then he's kind of goes through like asking her if she does good things, and it gave like very like 10 Commandments kind of feels, because she was saying like, yes, you know, I do all these good things, I do sometimes though do bad things, but I do say sorry for it and ask for forgiveness.
The gnome is painting the light green, but sometimes I ignore Bingo.
So then ultimately of course Bandit as God bestows on her that she is a good person.
Do you say sorry?
Yeah? Dad, it's green.
Then you're a goodie.
Hooray!
So at this point then, we have seen the three aspects of a god. So supremely good, all-knowing, and all-powerful. Now this then, of course, comes crumbling down within seconds.
Why was that car beeping you? Because the light was green.
Because Bandit gets honked at, and the girls all of a sudden realize that all these three things that he said he is, he no longer really is. He isn't all-knowing. He didn't know that the light changed color.
Because the light was green.
Yeah, I didn't see it change.
He isn't all-powerful. He got beeped, so he's obviously not the best driver in the world.
Are you not a very good driver, Dad? Dad? Are you not the best driver in the world?
And he isn't supremely good because he ignored Bingo. He wasn't listening to her. So all of a sudden, the three things that they thought he was all-powerful in, he's not anymore.
I'm asking you a question. Dad? Dad?
And so they start questioning him again and again and again. And Bandit, of course, gets flustered and then just decides to answer their prayers and put the windscreen wiper back on to make them happy.
Dad! Yes! What is it? You're the best dad in the world.
I am.
So we've got the idea then of Bandit as God, questioning God when he does good and bad things, basically. That then brings us to the dump and what's going on with the pictures.
Dump! Oh, I love the dump.
So the pictures, of course, are meant to represent different people as well as Bluey herself. There is an Easter egg from these pictures as well, and I'll mention it at the end of the video. Now, Bandit makes a very specific nod to the fact that Bluey makes a lot of them, as in there are a lot of people, and to Bandit as God, they're pretty insignificant because there are so many of them all the time.
Hey, stop! That's my drawing.
Oh, is it?
Ah, those are all my drawings. You're dumping my drawings.
Well, you do a lot of drawings, kid.
Bingo, however, is a person, and she values the life of Bluey, the other person in her life that she really cares about.
She worked really hard on those drawings.
I know, but...
That's a picture of me. You're throwing away Bluey. Ah.
So when she says that you're throwing away Bluey, she means that, you know, you're throwing away Bluey as a person. Like, I care for them and I believe that they have so much value, but you obviously don't, as God.
You're a baddie.
This is then where Bingo obviously passes judgment then on God and says that you are not supremely good, you're actually a baddie because you don't care about all different types of lives, or every single life, which again can sort of be replicated into real life, like, you know, why do people die? Why are there all these atrocities? If God was real, why would he let these happen? It's kind of like that kind of debate.
You're a baddie.
We then get into the idea that religion is silly, and I think you can take this in two different ways depending on your own type of religion, realistically.
I don't think you are the best dad in the world.
Yeah, you're right, Bluey. I'm not. Or the best driver. And I don't know everything either. I was just being silly.
Bandit basically breaks down and says that, yeah, he is not all-knowing, all-powerful, or supremely good, and that it was all just really silly. And so in that case, you could sort of take it as thinking that religion in general is really silly, to put all your faith and all this belief and all these kind of things. Or you could take it as seeing that you can still believe, but you shouldn't put everything into that one basket. And as Bandit says to Bluey, you've got to think about it for yourself. You've got to believe in yourself. You've got to figure it out yourself.
You'll have to figure that out for yourself.
How do I do that?
I'm sure you'll work it out. You figured out how to avoid capture by the police.
Yeah, I did.
He wants her to use the critical knowledge that she used before to figure out, you know, how to actually drive the car. So that was that whole example there. And it's sort of replicating in real life. You should use your own critical knowledge to come to your own conclusions about your own faith and religion.
Hey, Bluey, I've put your drawings back in the boot. I'm sorry, we can keep them.
And then the next part we see is the idea of hell as well as reincarnation. Overall, I would say that this usually has kind of like Christian vibes to it, but you really could apply it to any major religion that has one major god. And of course, reincarnation, though, is specifically more towards like Buddhism. So it's nice to see that we're sort of seeing a couple of different religions play into this.
But why were you dumping my drawings in the stinky dump forever?
Well, I wasn't putting them in the stinky dump.
So the stinky dump, of course, is meant to signify hell, basically, and just throwing things into hell, because it's the stinky dump, it stays there forever. Like you'd stay in hell forever, it's a bad place. We then, of course, have this dump, or the other one, which is reincarnation.
I was putting them in this dump. Any drawings you throw in this dump get mushed up and turned into new paper.
And this, of course, fits in with the whole idea of recycling and the circle of life, very Lion King.
When we die, our bodies become the grass, and the antelope eat the grass. And so, we are all connected in the great circle of life.
But it is, of course, reincarnation is a big part of Buddhism, where you go back into the cycle again and your soul lives on. Every time you die, it continuously rolls on if you've been a good person as well.
Like brand new bits of paper?
Yeah, so some other kid can draw a picture on it.
And what happens when that kid's dad throws it away?
Well, then it gets mushed up again and turned into another piece of paper for another kid. And over.
Oh, wow.
We then see Bluey have the chance to use her own thoughts and critical thinking and decide her own fate and what she wants to believe in, basically. So she decides that, yes, she wants her drawings to be reincarnated, aka recycled.
You can throw it away, Dad.
Oh, you sure?
Yeah, I can do another one.
Whee! Wuss.
Dad!
And then that's overall her decision on what she wants to happen with her life and her feelings and beliefs.
Dad, you know my drawing.
Yeah?
Was that someone else's drawing before it was mine?
Well, what do you think?
Yeah, I think so.
The last little bit, though, of course, is the hairy monster attack and the rainbow as well.
Uh-oh.
What is it?
Hairy monster attack!
I'm gonna take our rainbow on the way! Red car!
Which again, it seemed very heavy on like the idea of Noah's Ark in the rainbow as well. And considering that Joe Brum did also go to a Catholic school and he's mentioned it in a few interviews before, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the link that he put in with it. But basically, the hairy monster attack, aka like the car wash, it's sort of meant to signify like the storms and the floods with Noah's Ark. The girls are asking their dad to save them. He's like, yes, of course, I'll save you. And he pretends to like drive the car out of the storm.
Okay!
And then, of course, as they get out, he's the one that spots the last color that they needed for the rainbow. But he's the one that grants that gift to Bingo after she was praying, basically, to find that last one.
I just need a pink car. Please, everyone, it's the last one I need.
Okay, Bingo, I'll keep an eye out.
Me too.
and they see the rainbow and they're all super happy and they say that he's the best dad again.
Bingo! Pink car!
Go Rainbow! Hooray!
And I think the allegory for this then is the fact that a lot of different religions have a lot of different types of flaws in them, but people still love that religion and they still love their God despite those flaws. So I think you can sort of see it as an allegory for that.
You're the best dad in the world!
Really?
Yeah!
Woo! I'm back, baby!
So cheeky dogs, before I go into all like the hidden Easter eggs and details and things like that, let me know in the comment section down below what you think of this whole idea of the episode being about faith and questioning your religion, because it's not something that I noticed first time around, aside from of course the reincarnation and recycling, but I do think it is a really fascinating topic and again something really deep, and Bluey has been known to do deep things before, so I would love to know all your thoughts and feelings in the comment section down below. And this was confirmed by the lead animator as well on Twitter. She made a whole comment about the fact that this episode was about a lot of spirituality, so it's not surprising that this is what a lot of people took from it. And as I mentioned, the initial person I feel like who really talked about this was on Reddit, and as I said, the link will be in the description box.
See? I know some stuff.
As for all of our Easter eggs, this episode is actually the one that has the most long dogs out of any other episode. There are 5 hidden throughout this episode, and this is where they are. So the very first one is at the dump entrance sign. It is a green and orange long dog that you see as they enter and exit the dump. The second one is a brown long dog that's in the top right corner that you see when Bandit's throwing the chair into the Stinky dump. The third one is a brown long dog that you see through the window when Bingo is calling Bandit a baddie. The fourth one is a white long dog with a red spot, and you can see it on the right side of a sign when they're looking at the recycling part of the dump. And the fifth long dog is a yellow and brown long dog that's right up in the top left corner that you see when Bandit is throwing the paper ball into the dump. Not surprisingly, there was actually some censorship with this episode in the Southeast Asia part of Disney, which is usually where a lot of the censorship comes in. So they did actually cut out the part where they said they would steal the queen.
Where are you gonna get 10 butlers from?
The Queen! We'd steal hers!
As well as the part where Bandit says that he was being silly.
It's just being silly.
As well, we also have some real live locations for this episode, and Bluey Locations over on Instagram did some fantastic side-by-side pictures for this. It seems mostly like maybe it was a combination of like the Forest Grove dump mixed in with maybe the Nudgy Road dump as well, which is not surprising. Bluey does this a lot sometimes where they like merge 2 places together to make it look really great in the actual animation. There is another location as well that was specifically mentioned on Twitter by one of the animators, and that's when you see like the Brisbane cityscape as they're driving back home. That is on Road. But it is a really like a hilly part of Brisbane that gives you like this beautiful like overlook to the city. The other little hidden details, as I mentioned, is one of the Bluey's drawings is actually of Snickers, one of her classmates, and you see that when Bandit first drops the pictures on the ground when they're at the dump. We do also have some cameos where we can see both Rocco as well as Mackenzie and Mrs. Retriever as they are driving past down like the road, and it's where we've seen the pineapple like sign pop up multiple times. And of course we see the white cockatoo, which in my head is like maybe it's like the white dove after Noah's Ark as well, but like the Australian version, which would be a white cockatoo. So again, perhaps a little nod to the whole story of Noah's Ark. Overall though, for me, this episode, now that I've done this breakdown, is like 5 out of 5. Like it is intense. It has so many like long dogs and Easter eggs, which I always love, and a lot of really interesting themes that make you think even deeper. So for me, it's a 5 out of 5 episode. It's incredible. But let me know in that comment section down below how many long dogs you would give this episode as well. And while you're there, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe button, and bell for notifications so you know whenever I release any other Bluey videos. But until then, I have picked your cheeky dogs out a few other videos that maybe you would like to watch, and I will see you all in another video. Mwah! Bye!